On June 25th, NYC Youth loaded up 35 people and headed for the mountains of Colorado Springs to meet God at our 2013 high school camp. With devoted times of worship, small groups, and devotions, God did things in students' lives that we will never forget.
The biggest thing I took home from camp in my life is devotion, like setting off like 30, 45 minutes for God just to pray, read my Bible, and worship Him.
I think the one thing that I remembered the most was just getting on the ground before God and just praying with Him. I got to pray with my best friend, which I never do, but that was just one thing that I really remembered.
I'm glad I went to camp because before I didn't really make it a daily effort to read my Bible, and after camp I made it a part of my schedule, and so it's really changed a lot.
The biggest thing that I brought home from camp was prayer. I'm praying more and getting more involved with or reading the Bible more, but mainly prayer. I find myself just randomly just talking to God, praying out loud, and just at random times while I'm by myself or something.
NYC's 2013 high school camp will be a week that students will never forget. Thank you for making what God did in these students' lives possible by your generous donation and support of NYC.
If you are an upcoming 6th grader, a graduating 8th grader, or in any grades in between those two, it's time to register for middle school summer camp at Youth Front West. Activities will include water sliding, swimming, blobbing, paintball, ATVs, a zip line, prayer and worship, games, and much more. Registration is $229. Register online at nycyouth.com by July 14th or call the church office for more information.
Guitarist Benny Prasad will be with us in concert on Friday night, July 19th. Benny has performed his music in 250 nations, before presidents and parliaments, at the 2004 Olympic Games, and at the 2006 FIFA World Cup. Benny also holds the world record for the fastest person to travel to 245 nations in 6 years, 6 months, and 22 days. Through music performed on the 20-string guitar he designed, Benny brings the hope of God to thousands of people, traveling to more than 40 or 50 countries every year.
The poetic and the prophetic are related. The poet and the prophet are often one and the same. The Hebrew prophets were artistic poets, their songs giving melody to a God-breathed perspective. Their poems were wholly in their imagination, an alternative to the tyranny of the status quo. And the Hebrew poets weren't the only prophets. The Apostle Paul calls the Greek poet Epimenides a prophet. In a pagan hymn, it's Epimenides who sang of God, "In Him we live and move and have our being." These God-obsessed poets were the prophets of the holy what if. What if justice rolled down like a mighty river? What if swords were turned into plowshares? What if the government were on God's shoulders? The soul of the prophet is the seedbed of prophecy. So where do we find the poet prophets today? More likely than not, they're making music. Singers, songwriters, musicians. Let him who has ears to hear, hear. Finding God on your iPod begins Sunday, July 28th.
In the first of light, past the Noah kite, bodies wrapped in white. Stranded every pain